Hey gang, Ronin here. Welcome on back to the Retrocade. It's Sunday, and that means it's time for another Suckerpunch Sunday, where we hit the Wayback Machine and explore classic fighting or fighting platform-based games from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. Before we get into the particulars, happy Independence Day to everybody. Hope you are safe and well wherever you may be. If you've been enjoying the content on this channel, best way you can show it is, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. Also, don't forget about Sports Saturday, where we play a classic sports game from the Golden Age from 1984 to 2010. We played the Nintendo tennis game Racket Attack yesterday, and actually did pretty well on it. And also, you can follow us on Twitter at @Retrocade. Help spread the word if you can, so we can hit our goal of 100 subscribers as soon as possible. That way we unlock YouTube's customization algorithm, and we can make this channel bigger and better. And if there's a game you'd like to see us feature from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation, leave it in the comments below, or drop me a tweet, and give me any game you want. Well, for this Suckerpunch Sunday, we're going to do what we actually tried to do last week before technical difficulties shut us down. We're going to go back to 1987-88, and we're going to play a game from the Nintendo Entertainment System called Bad Street Brawler that was supposed to be the entry point for a lot of gamers of that time for one of the most, I don't want to necessarily, and most well-known, but also one of the most maligned bits of kit that came along during the 8-bit generation, and that being the Mattel Power Glove. And the Power Glove was created by Mattel, like I said, in the late 80s, and it became something that was an instant fad and a big must-have on most kids' birthdays and Christmas lists around 1988-89, and very, very quickly it devolved into something that really showed that it was both ahead of its time and not anything better than a useless piece of junk that went along with it. So, but how Bad Street Brawler works is that you have this guy, and his name is Duke Davis. I'm not kidding, although the back of the box calls him Duke Dunnigan. And he's a former punk rocker turned martial artist, and what he is basically trying to do is clean up his town, which doesn't have a name to it, but each level you have two moves. You have a punch and you have a kick. And each level is timed. You've got to be able to get through it and take out different baddies along the way. So you only got about 108 seconds to get through each level, and you have to deal with dogs, you have to deal with these little bald guys who like to swing hammers around. And somehow they can swing them around so fast they can actually achieve flight. But the whole idea behind the Power Glove was it was really one of the first attempts to create a motion capture system. Or a motion control system, I should say. And if you've never seen the Power Glove, it's not hard to find. You can find pretty much pictures of it everywhere online. And it was such a big deal because it was part of a very, very bad movie that came out during the era called The Wizard, which was essentially nothing more than a shameless plug for Nintendo and all the games they were trying to get kids to buy. Specifically, Super Mario Bros. 3, which was the highlight of the movie itself more than the actual plot. So we get through the first level, and now we get to drop all the junk we've collected in the dumpster. Now when you change to level 2, we get different moves. We get the trip with the A button and the high kick with the B button. So basically we get to fold somebody in half and then kick them. And the thing about the Power Glove is that you wore it on your hand. You programmed in a code that came in the booklet for the games you wanted to play, and in theory you could play everything from Mario Brothers to Zelda to Metroid and everything in between utilizing the Power Glove. And how it worked was you had 3 receivers that processed the ultrasonic sound, which was really high frequency noise, that the Power Glove put out. And that's how, in theory, you got it to work. Well, what people found out very quickly is that it didn't work. At least not for most games. And I can say that as somebody who knew a kid who got one for his 12th birthday. And I was there at his birthday party when he got it, and then I got to be among the kids who got to try it out. And we used it for all of maybe a half an hour. And then we went right back to playing with the regular Nintendo controller. Now, I don't know how many levels are in this game, but... Oh, we got taken out. But the thing about games like this in trying to promote a peripheral like the Power Glove is that Mattel wasn't a game company. They were a toy company. Mattel made toys throughout the 1980s for all sorts of stuff. Most notably, they made a lot of the Star Wars toys that me and kids of my ilk played with to no end. But the thing about the idea that you were trying to play this game and get with the Power Glove, it just seems to be completely counterintuitive to me. I mean, I'm having a hard enough time playing it with an Xbox controller. But to play having one hand in the Power Glove, and knowing how to be able to manipulate it so this guy Dirk Dunnigan will do what you want him to do in a time limit is pretty crazy. But one of the reasons why I wanted to highlight this game, and it's, aside from the fact it's just a terrible game, was that because this came out in 1988-89 on the Nintendo, it also speaks to how the system was really at the end of its shelf life. But how also companies were so desperate. There we go. I was trying to kick it, and it did not happen. Ah, that came in perfect timing. But like I said, it speaks to how companies were at the time, that they were so desperate to cash in on the popularity and the lasting popularity of the Nintendo Entertainment System that they allowed stuff like this to be produced in the first place. And this game actually came out on the Commodore 64 and MS-DOS along with the NES. And it's ranked currently as number 16 on the 20 worst games of all time by Electronic Gaming Monthly. Now, I don't know how old this game or that list is, but I can certainly see why. But when the Power Glove came out in 1989, it was discontinued a year later. And it sold when it came out for $75. By modern standards, it'd be $150 now. And I can't justify paying $150 for something like that, let alone paying $75 back in the day, which is part of the reason why I never had one. And I'm not saying that as somebody who was slighted and is jaded by that. Although, as a 12-year-old kid, I was wanting it just as much as anybody else did. The funny thing about the other thing about the Power Glove was that because it was discontinued so quickly, I ended up actually seeing it. Wow, that's it. I ended up actually seeing it more utilized in pop culture stuff. Like, I remember seeing old. I remember seeing TV shows. Whoop! Come on, this is how bad this game is. I can't even spell my name on this worth a damn. There we go. Ronin. Come on. Not Ronnie. Ronin. There. But, yeah, I remember seeing TV shows back in the day where clearly somebody had gotten their hands on a Power Glove. And they just souped it up to make it look more science fiction-y or more... Wow, that didn't take long for me to get whacked. Try this again. So I think you kick the monkeys like 4 times and then they go away. And of course I got clubbed and that's it. The other game that came out along with the release of the Power Glove that was used as the means by which to promote it was a game called Super Glove Ball, which I never played either. And again, I don't know many kids who did, because we were so... The promotional material for the glove was such that they showed a kid in front of a huge TV screen and he could play anything with the glove. Wow, you get 3 monkeys in this one. That's it. Alright, well, we'll give this one more shot. I think we can get 3 continues in this game, and that's it. How anybody managed to get 13,000 points in this game, I have no idea. But yeah, the Power Glove was designed over, it only took them 8 weeks to make it. It wasn't like they went through a whole lot of trial and error to be able to put it out. It was that Mattel saw what the designers of it were doing and said, hey, we got to get this out as soon as possible because kids are going to buy it, especially because it came out right around Christmas season. So they had to capitalize on both the Christmas season rush and any other kid who happened to be lucky enough to get a birthday along with Christmas. But you think about how much motion control has come along since the Power Glove came out. I mean, we had everything with the PlayStation, we had the Kinect. The Wii is obviously the best example of a company getting it right, even though, which is funny coming from Nintendo. And Nintendo did not endorse the Power Glove. They allowed it to be put on the NES, but it was not an officially sanctioned product. It was a third-party peripheral. It's funny, you get those bananas and you can't get anything out of it other than just having the bananas. And just like that, I got thumped again. So I think I got one more guy, and that's it. Alright. I mean, the closest thing we have now to real motion control or anything like that, I guess, if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, is VR, which, for having a PS4 and a PC, and at some point I will be upgrading, getting a PS5, come on, you jerk. That's it. But yeah, like I said, having a PS4 and eventually getting a PS5, I don't know if I'll be getting into doing VR or not, but the Power Glove, for what it was a great fad and a great flash in the pan, but that it was gone inside of a year as Nintendo pretty much put the cap on the NES and then decided to make the Super Nintendo and get that rolling, along with other things that really there was no reason to even consider having any peripheral like that going forward through the 16-bit generation. And that these were the games that were attached to it. That the idea that you were going to get kids to convince their parents to buy into I'm going to pause this just because that music is so annoying. Again, that's one of those where in a historical context, it shows just how big the NES fad was throughout the latter half of the 1980s and how much companies were so desperate to be able to get a piece of the pie that Nintendo was getting through the billions of dollars they were making worldwide, let alone in the United States, by tacking something onto it, saying, hey, we'll get kids to play these really badly constructed games because we're just drudging the bottom of the barrel to find anything to keep them from buying the next thing that's coming down the pipe, which, of course, ended up being the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, and evolution progressing on as it did. So this, guys, was Bad Street Brawler, which is a terrible game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I don't recommend you try it out unless you want to really be a glutton for punishment. I fell on this grenade so you don't have to. It's repetitive. The controls are terrible. The moveset is awful. And it's, again, designed for something that in theory was going to be a big step forward technologically and turned out to be anything but. So from a nostalgic perspective, it was worth the revisit on it, but other than that, that's where it belongs. It belongs at the very, very bottom of the bargain basement drawer of all things nostalgic. But if you've enjoyed that, best way you can show it is, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. Also, don't forget about Sports Saturday, where we play a sports game for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. You can also follow us on Twitter at @Retrocade. Help spread the word if you can, so we can hit 100 subscribers as soon as possible. That way we unlock YouTube's customization algorithm, and we can make this channel bigger and better. And if there's a game you'd like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System that's preferably not named Bad Street Brawler, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive, SNK, Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below, or drop me a tweet, and it can be any game you want. And as always, this channel is dedicated to the history of games, good or bad. I never said when I started this channel that I was only going to be doing the great games. You can find content about that everywhere, but I have thousands of titles to choose from, a lot of games that I've never played before, and sometimes it's worth doing a little bit of an exploration of those titles to see why they were so bad, why they did not hold up, why they were not really things that kids were interested in, and it speaks to both the time in which they were created and also the attitudes of the kids back then to be able to summarily reject games like this in favor of better titles. So, as always, my name is Ronin. It's been great to be with you on this Sunday, on this 4th of July Sunday. As always, everybody, like I said, be safe, be well, enjoy the fireworks, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye.